Hello and welcome back to DreamHack Atlanta. We are heading in to round 5 of the Swiss, and this is the part where the men get separated from the boys. Bringing you this game are Lorinda and Cora, and it's going to be Justsaiyan versus Frozen. What do you make of that lineup, Cora?
I wish there were some girls, but you know, you get what you get when it comes to Hearthstone.
That's
no, this is an incredible matchup. We saw Frozen on stream earlier, and we have not actually seen Saiyan yet, but he's the only member of Team Tempo Storm who is representing here at DreamHack Atlanta. So I can't wait to see what he's brought to the table.
Yeah, Saiyan doing it again. There's only him and Terrence been to both previous DreamHack finals in the USA. In the top 16.
Yeah.
So Terrence just getting beat a minute ago. It's all up to Saiyan, and like you say, he's the only Tempo Storm rep here. And Frozen was just like the DreamHack specialist for the longest time. His all-time record is 28 wins and 11 losses at 71.8%. That's insane.
I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, we were talking about former DreamHack champions earlier. I made the little mistake about Chucky. Chucky still looking very strong with a 4-0 score. Shib not looking as good. Terrence not looking quite as good now. But going forwards, let's see what Justsaiyan and Frozen can do against one another. I'm very excited to see. Like I said, it's kind of at the point now where the boys get separated from the men. These are the guys that have won all 5 series without losing any. So they're going to have to start losing at some point. It gets very, very difficult in Swiss once you get to this stage, and then round 6, and then round 7.
Well, actually, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we see Frozen lose earlier on stream?
I think we did, yeah. He got 3-0'd. In that series,
right.
You just cast everybody losing 3-0 for like 10 minutes.
It was kind of a blur. There are a lot of faces, a lot of names, a lot of paladins.
So it's not actually...
This would be either Frozen got paired up with a 5-0 Saiyan, or both are 4-1.
Well, I believe...
We'll let you know when we...
I believe in just a moment we're going to see the standings anyway. So
yeah,
that's...
and the 3-1 bracket is absolutely stacked.
Right.
There's like a lot of the 4-0s, there's 1 or 2 famous names, a few unknowns, but the 3-1 is where it's really at, and we'll see that shortly. That's just completely insane right now.
And we are about to have a look at the bracket. I'm very excited to see that. Obviously, we've been on the casting desk for most of the day. Here you go. Chucky, Lance, Caravaggio. I said that horribly. Rich Webb's filter. Crystal Blank, Slith. There's actually a lot of 4-0s. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. You got your hot girls.
You've got hot girls.
Hot girls. Oh, fantastic. There's at least one of them in the venue then.
But then look at this. Amnesiac, Tic Tac, Snail, Neyman. And there's a few others. I think these two we're going to watch are probably both 3-1 as well.
Still, I believe Ray C is 3-1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sidonia, I believe.
Yeah, Sidonia is
3-1 as well. So this is just like the very tip top of the 3-1s. There's plenty others as well below them. So that really just shows how stacked this is. This is top 20, but you look, maybe there's 10, 15 more all going to be fighting for top 16.
All day so far, we've been watching the games that were like 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. So that's where the confusion came from. I just kind of expected us to keep watching those games. As you can see,
you were wrong.
Nor Frozen or Saiyan are there. I was just wrong. Not the first time today. Cora is such a bully.
Sorry, I'm getting tired. I get mean when I'm tired.
She wonders why
Somebody
I'm
has to
afraid
do
of her.
Sottle's job when he's not here to bully you.
Well,
I'm too nice, so I'm gonna let
Raven
Cora.
did tell me to make sure you two were behaving.
Well, how would we be?
He's never behaving. I'm fine.
How would we be
good.
misbehaving?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I didn't really want to find out.
But yeah, 7-2 is enough to get through, and there's rumors that even 1-6-3 could get through. So 3-1, 4-0 going very well. Get to 4-1 overnight, you have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, none of these guys out of the tournament just yet, not by a long shot. But there's still a lot more games to play. You don't want to have to wake up tomorrow and feel like you have to win all 4 series.
It's something like winning an Open Cup against the best players in America.
Open Cup against the best. Well, it is an Open Cup, really. It's big.
I mean, because it just gets harder and harder as you get higher and higher into the bracket, right? Because first couple of rounds, maybe you play against some locals, some people who just came here to have fun, maybe not the professional players quite yet. But as you get into the 4-1, 5-1, 6-1 records, you're going to start playing against the other top players who also have those records. And that's when it gets interesting, because that's when we start seeing the pros go against each other. That's when there's so much more on the line. That's when it gets really fun.
And what we've been talking about, one of the stories of the day has been Priest. And what I want to see is when we do get to these games with the players that are 6-0, 7-0, top 16, whatever, I want to see how many of them are bringing Priest and how many of them are banning Priest, because we've seen quite a bit of that today, which is unheard of previously in Hearthstone tournaments.
That's something else that's really interested me, is how the bans have sort of evolved over the course of just well, now 5 rounds.
Right.
We saw Prix bans in round 3, I believe it was.
Yeah. That's the round you did a lot
round
of,
2
so
or round
let's
3.
go with that.
In round 1, it was just a double shaman ban.
Yeah, exactly. But then in round 4, we saw a double paladin ban for Chalky Amnesiac because paladin suddenly was the deck that was sweeping everybody. So it seems like people are reacting to the decks that are doing very well. Paladin has the Paladin and Shaman, I believe, have the highest win rates right now.
Yep.
And Paladin is the most represented class in the tournament.
And we've seen the occasional Druid ban as well, I think. But I was about to say we've seen no Hunter ban. I don't think we've seen any Hunter.
There are Hunters.
There are Hunters. There are Warlocks.
Somebody did bring Warlock.
Yeah.
So we've got all 9 classes
person.
represented.
Well, according to the stats, I think at least 2 or maybe even 3 people have brought Warlock, because come round 3, there have been so many Warlock games already. The math's checked out.
Something like 7 games played, I believe, and it did win a couple of games.
Yeah, a couple out of 7. Not the best win rate, not exactly the win rate I'd be hoping for if I was entering this tournament.
If I was entering this tournament with Warlock, I'd be delighted to have won a game.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much the point that we're going to make there. I don't think we've seen any mage bans, which is interesting. We have seen Eater of Secrets, so it's not like the players came in not expecting any mage. They teched their decks to beat it, but just not banning it.
I know that you said that Secret Mage was something that you really wanted to look out for this weekend. Has it been performing like you thought it would?
The bits I've seen, like we've cast Secret Mage both times I've cast, yes, it's looked really good. And you can't really ban it because it's not powerful enough to ban. It's just really good at dealing with Druid and Shaman, which were the predicted good decks. But as you're saying, today is all about Priests so far. We're going to get another one here with Saiyan.
And interestingly enough, Frozen has his Rogue banned out. Saiyan has the Druid banned. The Druid ban makes sense. But Rogue, that's really interesting to me.
Rogue is a class we haven't seen much, and we were talking about it much earlier in the midst of time earlier today, that there are players out there who think that Rogue is just the best class. I don't just mean people like Casey who always thinks Rogue's the best class.
There are players that think Rogue is the best class. There are players that think Rogue is the worst class. I think this is the first Rogue ban that we've seen on stream today.
I think we've only seen one other Rogue actually on stream, and I think it was Frozen.
Right. Of course, it was the Miracle Rogue with the hallucination on turn 1, yes.
Yeah, they got the Spike Ridge Steed. So he did end up losing that game, but now, unfortunately, we won't get to see the Rogue again. I do think it is really interesting how post-Quest Rogue nerf, Miracle Rogue is suddenly still playable, meaning that, how I'm interpreting it at least, Quest Rogue really was so dominant that it was almost holding the Rogue class back in terms of diversity, whereas you have, Pirate Warrior and Taunt Warrior are able to coexist. Quest Rogue was the dominant force within the Rogue class, and now suddenly it's gone, Miracle Rogue's back.
I do wonder if Saiyan was expecting his Mage to be banned there, because Frozen has Shaman, he has Rogue, the Mage is good against both, and so if Saiyan's Mage had been banned, the Rogue ban, it wasn't banned, the Rogue ban makes no sense. So I wonder if Frozen has actually won a battle of mind games there by getting his Rogue banned and leaving Mage up.
Well, we are going to find out very shortly. We have one last Swiss round, potentially our last series, coming up in just a moment.
Swiss round number 5 about to get underway. It is going to be Frozen taking on Justsaiyan. We've seen Frozen on stream already today. Haven't seen anything from Saiyan. So his decks are fresh to us. We don't know what to expect there. And he is the only member of Tempo Storm that's actually here. Whereas at DreamHack Austin, 4 members of Tempo Storm made it into the top 16.
Yeah, I was told that none of them had come here, but actually Saiyan has. Like, I was looking through the list and couldn't find him anywhere. Someone said, oh, they've all gone somewhere else today. There's another big event on.
Yeah.
And actually Saiyan's just turned up because he's good at this game somehow.
Imagine that. Justsaiyan is good at these games somehow.
Yeah,
now,
2 top 16s out of 2 American qualifiers. So yeah, absolutely ridiculous to see that happening.
Saiyan's a fantastic player. He's sort of the Tempo Storm player that slides a little bit under the radar on occasion. Right. He's a great streamer, he's a great player, but maybe not quite as notable as Eloise, Reynad, Trump, who are like the main 3, and then VLPS also is on Team Tempo Storm.
And he gets enough people when he streams. It's not like he's a nobody, but the others just get such massive numbers.
They're just huge personalities. They're huge figures in the scene. But Justsaiyan is an incredible player, so I can't wait to see what he's brought to the table. And it's going to be Frozen on his Paladin first off, and then Justsaiyan on the Priest. I haven't actually gotten to cast Dragon Priest yet today.
I cast a lot of it, as you probably saw.
Well, fantastic. Then this will work out swimmingly. It's one of my favorite decks to play, just because anything can happen when you're playing Priest and you're taking stuff that you shouldn't have.
You just start off as a Priest and you end up as something completely different. It's like...
It's always interesting. It's always interesting. Whereas, you know, Murloc Paladin gets the job done, but not too much diversity as far as what your goal really is.
Yeah, we saw 7 packs open in one game earlier today.
That was insane. That was
just went on and on.
Ant versus Astrogation. It was nutty.
I don't know what happened in that game to this minute is just insane. Frozen not getting the best of starts here curve-wise. He needs to get curving against this Priest or he will get into trouble. Luckily for him, Saiyan's hand is also a bit iffy, although Saiyan can curve using the Shadow Word Pain, of course, so he may get the better of these early exchanges.
All right, Shadow Vision's early on not really what you want to use it for. It's more a card when you know you need a response to something, then you can Shadow Visions for Dragonfire Potion or Shadow Word Death, or if the game goes very long, pack.
Yeah, if you get that pack later on, like you say, if it does go long, which it might, looking at these 2 hands, that can be an insane amount of value. Like, Tyrion is the value for the Paladin. I think I'd rather have 5 cards, though.
Tyrion's pretty good. 15 damage to face, 5 cards. Depends on what 5 cards you get. If you get 5 copies of the Vorax, I don't know.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, okay. You're not going to get 5 Vorax. Although we've seen it twice today so far, so you might, I guess.
I don't know, we'll have to see. Saiyan's had a pretty good start thus far. Frozen's hand unusually heavy for the build of Paladin that he is playing. You would hope and expect to see... Actually, no, was Frozen the one playing the N'Zoth Paladin?
I didn't see...
And yes, Frozen is playing the N'Zoth Paladin, and he has the N'Zoth Shaman as well. Frozen has the significantly more controlling lineup.
Okay.
So that would be why the hand is heavier right now.
Makes a lot more sense now. Saiyan's, because he's got the Primordial Drake, doesn't have to worry about what to do with his Twilight Drakes. Just flip them onto the board and make Frozen deal with them. And that's exactly what it is. And oh, there's a Cairn, just in case it wasn't N'Zoth Paladin already.
Yeah, so Frozen's lineup really is drastically different from a lot that we have seen. We've seen a lot of full aggro. You know, Pirate Warrior, Shaman, Secret Mage, and aggro Murloc Paladin just going in for the kills really, really early. But Frozen has a much longer game plan in mind. Yeah,
Frozen's success is down to being able to think independently. He's not one of these guys who takes the 4 best decks of the format and jams them until he's perfect at them. He will do what he thinks is best for the meta. And he crashes and burns sometimes because of that, and other times he just comes out miles on top. And today it seems to be going pretty well for him.
Okay, so Saiyan picks up a greater healing potion. He's definitely hoping to run into some more aggressive decks with this build of Priest and these tech cards. A traditional Murloc Paladin, Saiyan would be really well equipped against.
Yeah, and he's decided how much of an aggro he's going to be, because he decided not to save the Ooze for the Tyrion for later for the Ashbringer. He just wants to get that on the board, get some sort of board development going, and that's pretty good going. This is just going to get killed, but it's going to allow the Twilight Drake to survive, of course. Frozen had the opportunity there to play that Spite-Ridge Steed, but it wasn't really going to achieve anything, so he just decided to wait 1 extra turn and see what happens, see what he has to react to on that turn. This is the perfect answer, but it is going to end up eating up some mana.
With both of these players looking to obviously play quite a late game plan, Saiyan can extend the game with the Ungoro packs off of Elise the Trailblazer if he's playing it, Shadow Visions for additional packs, Draconid Operative for incredibly valuable cards from Frozen, etc. And then Frozen is looking to play all of the death rattles that he has in the deck. In this case, Cairn, Tyrion, potentially Infested Tauren, and N'Zoth in the late game for that final blow.
Yeah, all the death rattles are in the deck, and some that aren't as well. You can get some off Stonehill Defender, which is pretty likely.
2 Tyrions are better than 1 Tyrion.
Yeah, and then you get 4 Tyrions are better than 2, so yeah.
That would be that would be a lot of Tyrions.
We can make a lot of Tyrions happen. Better than 5 Voraxes, that is for sure.
Would be pretty bad, yeah.
Saiyan's struggling to get any traction here in this game. Turns out that Cairn is just so good against Priest. For obvious reasons that we're not even going to get into, it just happens to be insanely good.
Cairn used to be a lot more popular than he is now, let's put it that way. Back when Chillwind Yeti also was very popular. Karen was 2 Yetis for the price of 1.5.
That's a good way of wording it. I like that.
And now you can N'Zoth him.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that people don't even play Cairn in the N'Zoth decks all the time. Sometimes it is literally just Tyrion, a couple of Stone Hills, maybe a Tauren occasionally, and off you go. It just turns out that 2 Tyrions plus a 5/7 is good enough.
But looking towards, this is going to be a long game. And looking towards how it's going to wrap up, it's going to come down to a resource battle. So Saiyan is going to have to get those resources off of the Ungoro packs. A little bit of a random element involved there, but usually the chances of opening epics and legendaries from those packs is significantly higher, so you can get some very useful cards. And then, of course, Saiyan will have Lyra likely in his deck as well, so he can make some additional priest cards off of that. Frozen is pretty limited to cards in his deck, plus N'Zoth and the 2 Stonehills. That's all he really is working with. And the player with the last resources will be ultimately the last player standing.
And the other resource in this is information. And at the moment, Frozen has been on stream, and he's got a lot of friends around, a lot of people he works with around him. And Saiyan, like you say, there's no one else from Tempo Storm here. He's gone under the radar, as you said earlier. Frozen may not even know exactly the build of the decks, where Saiyan will have a lot of information. Not only has Frozen been on stream, so he could have watched, but Saiyan, you know, people he would talk to will have watched on his behalf as well. And so Saiyan does have that small advantage that can translate into a bigger advantage at this level.
Not to mention, Saiyan just has had... Priest is a reactive class by nature, but this hand is taking it almost a little bit too far. No Draconid operatives thus far. No bookworms if he's playing them. There's not a lot to actually put on board to interact with what Frozen has.
Time to react now. Frozen trying to work out whether to go face with a Rallying Blade or not, because if he doesn't have an Ashbringer next turn, then he's quite happy. And if he does, then he needs to get rid of the Rallying Blade. And he's going to have one. Don't worry about that.
Another Shadow Word Pain picked up. Not even many spells left in the deck for Justsaiyan 2 Shadow Visions. But, you know, talking about how late the game could go, if Saiyan doesn't get some way to interact with this board minion-wise soon, Frozen may just out-pressure with an N'Zoth on 10, and Saiyan may not have anything to do about it.
Yeah, Saiyan may even try and keep this Tyrion alive if he can find a way to make the Drake pay for him. I don't know if that's a possibility, really, but if you can keep it alive and just make sure N'Zoth's not that good yet, make sure the Ashbringer doesn't play, it might not be the worst case for him. Obviously, it's not good as he's taking 6 in the face every turn, but in terms of just slowing it down until he gets into better position.
Well, Greater Healing Potion will essentially nullify 2 of the Tyrion swings. Now, not quite so much.
Right. Frozen saying, if you're not going to kill it, I'm going to make it big enough that you have to kill it and give me the Ashbringer. Because if you don't, you're going to lose. Saiyan doesn't have a minion to put down apart from the Drake, and all that does is just gets eaten.
You can't Shadow Word Death and play the Drake on the same turn.
Howard Shield. Oh dear. That's usually the sign of somebody in a world of pain when they start buffing their opponent's minions.
It's desperation.
Either that or he's really bad.
I don't think that's the case.
No, maybe he's not that bad. So, hey, what should I do with this card?
I'd lean towards that not being the case.
Yeah, I'd lean towards that too.
It's been a long day. Maybe Saiyan is...
Losing his mind?
I'm not going down that road. I don't want to be like Sottle. I don't want the world to...
Nobody wants to be like Sottle. It's okay.
Says the most Sottle-like person in the room.
It doesn't mean I wanted to be like this. It's just like a curse. Okay. In case it wasn't obvious, we're starting to talk about other people because the people on the screen are about to finish game 1.
Yeah, if Saiyan had had just more minions to play, Draconid Operative, which could have picked him up additional resources, and any way to interact with the board without having to use the spells in his hand, but even the spells in his hand just aren't good enough right now, so...
Yeah, we haven't seen...
Bit of a doozy of game 1.
No Galactic Crawlers in this deck. Like, we've seen a lot of those today in Priest, but nothing in this one.
You can pain the Tyrion. And do you get the Stegodon and the Ashbringer then, after Saiyan has taken
it? Okay. That's actually pretty good. Needs to be, though. You're on 6.
You can pain the Tyrion in Greater Healing Potion, or... Oh, that's good. Wow.
Don't test me, child.
The redemption played by Frozen quite a few turns ago. Now paying off in spades.
All right, so Saiyan finding a way to extend this game significantly. He's in a decent spot for the time being, but getting your Ashbringer Harrison as priest is not where you want to be in life.
No, that's really...
It's pretty unfortunate.
Rewind and freeze. How did I get here?
What did I do with my life to get my Ashbringer Harrisoned by my opponent when I'm a priest?
When I'm a priest.
Saiyan actually sees the funny side of that. It's like, just about stabilized, then that happens.
No, but I can't emphasize enough how brilliant that turn by Saiyan was.
Right. It looked like
taking the Aldor Peacekeeper off of the Draconid Operative, to then Potion of Madness the Tyrion, to then Pain the Tyrion, get the Ashbringer, get the Stegodon. That was...
Such a good play, it ended up in the museum for eternity.
Good, we can go and look at it now.
I don't think Harrison lets people in his museum. I think he's a bit crazy.
Very stingy of him.
He's like the crazy museum keeper.
There's so many weapons to look at.
No, but he likes them, yeah. He doesn't want other people to look at them. Archaeologists are a bit like that. He says, insulting a whole category of viewers.
All of our archaeologist viewers.
I'm sorry.
They probably love Journey to Angoro.
Yeah. Most of our viewers like a good dig anyway, so it's absolutely fine.
As long as it's a dig at us.
Exactly.
All right, so what does Saiyan want to do here? Dragonfire Potion wouldn't hit the Draconid Operative, but you got to clear the board somehow. And that does seem like the way to do it. Sacrifice the Aldor, but your Operative sticks around. You can heal back up to 16, and Saiyan has stabilized, if I do say so myself. Now the additional resources of Elise the Trailblazer and the pack will be very welcome. Yeah, and one thing that Paladin struggles to do is finish off games. Like, it's normally capable of doing a little bit of damage, but when it's lost its Tyrion, when it's lost its N'Zoth, there are not that many minions left in the deck, and Saiyan still has both Shadow Word Death to deal with anything that might be problematic. And even though it looks like he's behind looking at the hands, he might actually just be in a great spot here now. It was a very early N'Zoth, but it was completely warranted by Frozen, because it looked like he could just finish the game. I've written 1-0 on the score sheet. Oh, dear. It's the thing that I sometimes do when games are nearly over, to remind me how stupid I am when they go the other way. I mean, it very well may still go in Frozen's favor. He has quite a bit of resources left. Yeah, Curator will give him a little bit more minion push, which could finish the game. So I do believe he just picked up his second Hydrologist off the top, so that would be an unfortunate draw, as he would have gotten it off of the Curator anyway. But yeah, this is going to be, he's going to have to find ways to get enough damage to stick to finish this before, like you say, just saying if he just gets into Elise and packs and stuff, this game ends the other way. I mean, enough hero powers as Paladin can add up. One thing I find fascinating about the current state of Hearthstone is most games used to be work out who's the aggressor, work out who's the defender. If you get your role right, you win the game. But now that changes several times during the course of a game. Suddenly Frozen is now the aggressive deck, because if the inevitability is against him. Mm-hmm. You almost have to adjust on the fly. And the players that are most flexible are the ones that perform the best. And we have two of the most flexible players right here. Yeah, for sure. I mean, two of the biggest and analytical players in the whole of the game. If you listen to Saiyan's stream ever, the guy will explain things you have never heard of before and probably never will again. He is a genius at this game. Okay, so going for the draw there. There's 9 on board for Frozen, Saiyan at 13. Meaning that a true Silver Swing from face would end this game if Saiyan doesn't Potion of Madness. Yeah, so he's just getting rid of that while he can, and trying to develop a board, as is the point of the game. He's still at a huge resource deficit. He's going to need to pick up that pack to even the score a little bit. Yeah, all of his value is implied, and it's no use if he doesn't get there. And it's just, Frozen's just managed with that Curator pickup to generate just enough pressure that he looks like he's going to fall on his face just over the finishing line here. Frozen could have actually guaranteed the kill on the Elise the Trailblazer there. I like his choice to push damage to face, but it was just something he could have done differently if he wanted to play a little bit more defensively. But like you said, he's correctly acknowledged his position as the aggressor now.
Yeah, just realizing there is just not much left. Saiyan's held on to this Drake the whole game, partly because it's an activator and partly because he's wanted to be greedy for this sort of situation. Doesn't quite do enough exactly now, though. Maybe he just goes for Nether Spite, tries to survive one more time, and I don't know, just Deathwing?
He can Nether Spite and then Primordial Drake.
That
Does he live through equality is my question. Depends on where these trades go. Probably Bookworm into the Kodo.
Yeah, they seem fine. Needs to check if he thinks he can get enough into the face. Just pausing there to make sure there's no point. There is no point. And surviving again. The problem is all the time that Saiyan's been equalizing this game, trying to level it up, this hand from Frozen, which is now complete with a consecration, has been filled with equalities and pyromancers and actually a Doomsayer, sorry, yeah.
It's 1 damage off of lethal this turn. Hoping that Justsaiyan is finally out of resources.
Needs the pack, and it needs it to be a good one.
Yeah, we've seen 2 Pains, we've seen Potion of Madness, we've seen Dragonfire Potion.
Oh!
There's the pack.
Bust that pack open and see what you get. You know you want to.
Binding Heal. You can pick up Tyrantus. All right, so Ornery Direhorn is a taunt.
It is.
But you would need it to pretty much get Divine Shield here.
All right, can he get it? And will it matter? He can't and it won't.
Can't be targeted, doesn't matter with equality. Poisonous doesn't change anything, and it already has taunt.
So many things that just aren't good there.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. The Divine Shield meant that the equality wouldn't have been a kill with the hero power to heal up to 3, but now it will be. So Frozen is going to take game number 1.
Eventually.
It looked like after that one brilliant turn that Justsaiyan had that he potentially could have gotten back into that game, but it was still just too much pressure from Frozen all the way consistently through that one.
Yeah, just the amount that Saiyan had to burn up to get back into that game eventually ends up costing him. Looks like we have a small question here from Frozen. And yeah, taking the 1-0 lead, getting the Paladin through, and getting Saiyan's Priest out of the way. And we've seen so much good Priest today. I imagine Frozen will be very happy about that, especially after how that went.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that that matchup is Paladin favored, just because if you look at how the minions line up, the Paladin just has a little bit more aggression in the early game. Karin is very difficult for the Priest to deal with. The hero power itself can add up over time, and Priest has trouble dealing with that.
Yeah.
But if Saiyan were to have gotten the Draconid operatives earlier on, potentially could have pulled some really high-value minions off of Frozen, that game could have gone very differently.
Yeah, interesting how that panned out. It'd be interesting to see as well now looking at Frozen's next decks. See if he can make it go differently here. He has the Shaman and the Mage left. Obviously, if Mage can deal with Paladin, but it's not, can deal with Priest, but it's not a big fan. And so, just see what gets queued here. Sorry, he's got Shaman and Mage. Is that what I just said? It is.
Yeah, Saiyan has Shaman and Mage left. Frozen is going to be going in with the Paladin again, because it is last hero standing format, which pretty much the only tournament that I can think of lately that has been last hero standing format is the DreamHack tournaments.
Yeah, Valencia, and that was like 2 days after the Rogue nerf, and only 1 day after the Elemental stuff happened, so... Yeah, we got a little bit of Talkstone going on here, I'm afraid, guys.
Waiting for Frozen to take a quick bathroom break, and we'll get right back into the games as soon as we possibly can. But until then, how's your day going, Neil?
Day's been great.
It's been a lot of
really
fun.
good. You enjoyed it?
Yeah. Did you see any other games, or?
I saw most of it. I didn't see the one where you and Falcone cast like half the tournament because it was going too quickly, but I did see pretty much everything else, and seems to be a lot of Priests, seems to be a lot going on that we weren't expecting.
A lot of Paladin. It kind of is across the board a little bit what I expected, just because you expected the dominant classes to be Paladin, Druid, Mage, Shaman, of course, and then Priest was sort of the question mark. So I actually had been deck testing with my brother a little bit here and there, trying to solidify just a decent lineup for this, not really knowing what to expect. and he brought out Paladin and Druid, I think, and was having me test different decks against them. And I just, on a whim, played a Dragon Priest and just destroyed him. Like, nut drew every time. It was Northshire Cleric coined like Cabal Talon.
Get him in
like
here.
3 games in a
go
row.
Play.
And he was like, man, maybe I should be bringing Priest.
Did he bring it?
No, he didn't end up. He didn't bring it.
And he's gonna be
but
gutted.
now we're seeing all of the fantastic Priests that are doing so well in this tournament, and he's regretting it a little bit.
You should have been playing. You could have won $8,500.
I could have, but I don't think that it would have ended too well. While we're waiting, let's take a look at the standings very quickly. We can see which players are performing very well and which players are falling a little bit short. So our 4-0s, we have Chucky, Lance, Caravaggio, Rich Webbs, Filtor, Chris LeBlanc, Syntherius, Villain, and Zalay and Hot Girls. I've heard great things about Apple Chips. He took down Cydonia in round 1.
Okay, did you hear the great things from Cydonia?
Yes,
That tends to be how it works when somebody loses. Oh, this guy's amazing. He must be because he beat me.
Yeah, but then he went on to beat 2 other people, so Apple Chip's doing pretty well. Of course, Amnesiac, the young savage, is currently in the top 16, and just out, we have Naaman, Snail, and Tic Tac, so 3 other well-known players just right now missing the cut for top 16, but this is only round 5, so there's going to be 4 more Swiss rounds after this tomorrow, and then we will cut to top 16 and start playing the single elimination from there. So Frozen has returned. We will be getting into game number 2 very shortly. It's going to be Frozen on his Paladin once again, and we'll have to wait and see what Saiyan has decided to queue up against it. What would counter the Paladin best here? With Saiyan's remaining decks.
I mean, I've played a lot of Shaman against Paladin. I don't enjoy that matchup at all.
Well, okay.
I think it's Shaman favored slightly, but I don't like it.
Devolve just...
Yeah.
It does work, right? And now we're seeing Sea Giant attacking Justsaiyan's deck, so that also works well with a wide board state of Murlocs, except we know Frozen's playing a controlling Paladin build, so...
I feel that the Sea Giant might just be enough to tip this. This is a matchup that people think or claim is Paladin favored, but when you play it, the Shaman sometimes just kills you on turn 5.
I don't know that that's going to be the case with the hand that Frozen has right now, though. Doomsayer on 2, Stonehill on 3, Torrent or Consecration on 4. What much more could you ask for?
Yeah, that is looking pretty bleak, and this is what happens. This is why people think it's Paladin favored, because when this happens, the Shaman just looks at his life and just sort of head in hands, shakes his head a bit.
What did I do to deserve this?
Right, and if this is his best counter, what is the Mage deck? Like, if he feels that this is his best chance. But sometimes you just get it the other way around. Sometimes the Shaman just curves out, plays Bloodlust on 5, hits you for 17, then drops a Sea Giant. It's like, game's easy. Yeah,
I anticipated Shaman actually taking the brunt of the bans this weekend.
Yeah, I think it still does.
It's just a very powerful deck.
Yeah, I think this is why Druid is so powerful right now, because it's the strongest deck you're allowed to play, because the Shaman just gets banned out so often.
Yeah, that's true. But even just bringing it to draw out a ban is sort of good enough.
I agree entirely, and Frozen has been let through because this Rogue ban, and again, I feel that might just be a win for Frozen in the mind game, just getting his Rogue banned, and then, yeah, I'll ban your Druid, which is sort of just a win. I think he just won the mind games.
Well, it's worked out well for him thus far. And we do know that Frozen's Shaman build is very different from the one that we're seeing Justsaiyan playing right now. It's a heavy control N'Zoth Shaman.
Has he just gone control crazy across the board?
I think so. We didn't get to see his Mage. I don't believe. I think the Mage was banned earlier on.
But the most aggressive Mage is the Secret Mage, and that still can be fairly control-y, depending if you're playing double Volcanic or not in there, just to tidy things up. Depends exactly what you want to go with, but the Secret Mage is really weird as well if you build it with several different secrets. But it might just be Freeze. It wouldn't surprise me at all if you just brought this entire control lineup.
We'll have to... If the Paladin fails, maybe we'll get a chance to see. Doomsayer going to come down now, and no way for Saiyan to clear it. So Frozen's timing with this Doomsayer has been quite good. He very patiently waited to play it until turn 4, which is
super greedy.
A little bit unusual when you're up against an aggro deck.
I mean, teaching new players how to play Doomsayer, you say, well, play it as the latest that you dare. And he dared to wait till turn 4 against Shaman. That is pretty late, and it has really paid off.
Well, he waited until he saw the Jade Lightning come out. So I think that was probably the go sign. Yeah. You see Jade Lightning come out on your Stonehill Defender, then you probably think there's not a second Jade Lightning in hand, and you feel pretty safe putting down your Doomsayer. Then if it hadn't have worked out, we can see he has a quality consecration for turn 6. So there's a bit of a fail-safe there, which I guess makes you feel even better about playing that Doomsayer on 4.
Yeah, and in case you didn't think the Doomsayer was good enough reward, now he's managed to get an Acolyte down against a whole army of things that the Acolyte doesn't mind seeing.
Against a bunch of minions that have 1 attack.
Oh, and he rolls the 1/1, which means the Acolyte's going to get a card. Yes, Saiyan not happy. Now he might as well just put all the other good stuff on the board as well. But
Saiyan, he needs to find some bigger resources, and he needs to find them fast. A Doppelgangster Evolve would be really nice from his perspective. At the very least, it would draw out an Equality Consecration combo, but
one of them.
Now there's 2.
Oh my goodness, yes. Just not looking great for Saiyan at all in this spot.
And Saiyan is firmly the aggressor in this matchup, meaning that Frozen, even though he doesn't have too many minion resources, he doesn't have, Karen, he doesn't have Tyrion, he doesn't need him right now.
Yeah, every turn that goes by.
Clears.
Yeah, that's just nuts, right? Like, normally you're sitting there going, I've got to be a bit careful of Doppel Evolve, but he's controlling the board with his minions anyway, and if Doppel Evolve comes down, he just clears it up. It's just a fantastic spot for Frozen.
Can he get a 3-card Acolyte draw?
We should actually comment that there's a Lightning Storm in Saiyan's hand, by the way.
There is. If you're playing Blood Mage Thalnos in the deck, I suppose that Lightning Storm is a really good tech in the mirror.
Yeah, it's one of these cards that like really bad players throw in their Shaman decks. It's like, oh no, I keep losing. I know, I'll play a Lightning Storm and just ruin all the synergy of my deck and my curve and everything. And then someone like Saiyan plays it, and all those same players are like, hey, I told you Lightning Storm was good in this deck.
I wonder what he took out for it, though. You don't even really need to play Blood Mage Thalnos. It makes it a little bit more consistent, but you roll Wrath of Air Totem often enough, and 2 or 3 damage AoE is usually sufficient against other aggro decks. Really good against Druid as well.
The cards that usually bite the dust are either Stonehill Defender or Devolve. Like, one of those tends to make way for
One
your
copy of Devolve would make sense.
He wouldn't mind it right now, though.
No, against Paladin, I think you would much rather have the Devolve against this version of Paladin, to be precise. Even against the heavy Murloc starts, most of the Murlocs are 1 or 2 mana, and devolving them obviously ignores stat buffs, so they get put into either Wisps or 1-drops that usually have 1 health, and then Maelstrom Portal just does the cleanup in that case. Yeah,
they're not even Murlocs anymore as well, so suddenly all that synergy goes to pieces, and it's really good. And he'd much rather be that right now than that Lightning Storm, which sort of didn't really scratch the surface much.
And facing down a 2nd Spike Ridge Steed and a N'Zoth, it's looking a bit rough for Saiyan. He does need to go wide on the board, hope to dodge board clear, and then Bloodlust is his out.
Yeah, can I set this up? Can I trick one of the best players in the world into losing to this Bloodlust? And this is when you start thinking, when do I play my Evolve? Obviously, you want to play with Doppelgangster, but you also don't want to die with it in your hand.
I think Evolve is a much more flexible card in this deck than people think. You can evolve, 2 Fireflies, a Bloodsail Corsair, and a Patches on turn 2 or 3 against, other aggressive decks.
Especially against aggro Druid in particular.
It just wins you the game.
Yeah.
So, maybe Saiyan, maybe his only chance is to evolve, a moderate board of minions and hope to get Death Rattles or Divine Shields.
Yeah, another thing it allows you to do is injure all of your minions in some fairly wonky-looking trades, but they stay alive, and then evolve them. It effectively heals them as well as buffing them. And he may have to get creative here because he's getting behind pretty rapidly here, to be honest. And yeah, there's not usually a Hex in this deck, so Frozen just playing really big stuff.
Very
and
nice.
having seen that Lightning Storm.
There.
Yeah.
That was fantastic cleanup.
Having seen that Lightning Storm, he may even have guessed, I mean, I don't know, we haven't seen the list, but he may have the same guess as me that maybe there's only 1 Devolve in this deck.
And you didn't see it on the 1st Spike Ridge, so I think you can assume that it's just not there.
Yeah, and the Sea Giant as well, like if we've seen that come back, maybe there's 2 of those in the deck, that sometimes means another card has to bite the dust. Wow.
Little minions that Saiyan just hasn't had the ability to play, and even if he does, we know that they're just not going to stick around.
This Harrison is getting some work done in this matchup. Stealing from Priests, now he's stealing from Shamans.
I anticipate it's more geared towards other Paladin decks, but...
Yeah, well, he wasn't geared towards the Priest decks.
Yeah, no, probably not the Priest. Maybe the Mages a little bit.
Yeah.
As bizarre as that is.
Have we seen a Medivh today anywhere at all?
I don't think so. I don't think we've seen a Burn Mage be successful.
It's just so weird how much control there is over here today.
It's sort of all across the board, right?
Yeah.
It's either very controlling lineups or very aggressive lineups.
Yeah. And so far, I don't know, I was going to say who we've seen it better, but I think we've seen... So Lothar and myself have cast like some controlling matchups, and you and Falcone have been casting a lot of aggro stuff.
Yeah.
So getting an interesting mixed message. You have to ask the players what they've been running into. They'll have a much better feel from the floor overnight and see where things are at.
Different results across the board. So Saiyan unfortunately picks up the patches off the top, meaning he won't get the free pull off the Bloodseal Corsair. So a misdraw there. Definitely could have used a Doppelgangster much more, or a Maelstrom Portal, or a Devolve, something that can affect the board more than little patches.
If you throw out Sea Giant, you're just throwing it to its death. And Saiyan just... I think he's reached that conclusion that you sometimes just reach. Is like, I think I've lost, so let's just go wide and hope he hasn't got the answers. And we can see he's got all of the answers for the eternity here. Saying, hearing that piece of commentary, no. There's massive white noise in there.
With the consecration there, that was exactly 21. So Saiyan knew that that game was over. Frozen going up to a quick 2-0 lead, and this will be the only game of Swiss Round 5 that we're actually showing. It's getting quite late. Most of the people have cleared out from the convention center, and I'm sure all the players want to go home and get some sleep before they have to come back, rinse, repeat, do it all over again tomorrow. So Justsaiyan left with just the Mage, and Frozen still on the N'Zoth Paladin. 4
more rounds of Swiss tomorrow, plus at least 3 top 16 games going to be here on this channel. And so you get to those top 16 games, the tournament really hots up because obviously it becomes singular limb. And also, like, the last 2 rounds of Swiss usually feel like singular limb as well to me.
Do the deck lists become available when top 16 happens? Yes. Yeah. Okay, I thought so. Because that's usually at the point when it's all on Twitter and everybody starts sort of sifting through all the information and taking it all in. So
yeah, it's usually Saiyan who starts saying who's going to win these tournaments. He like gets spreadsheets out and stuff. Yeah. A bit like Noblord, who's also going okay. I think he's another 3-1, by the way.
Awesome.
So we might not have anyone to go through it for us and tell us what to do. We might have to do our jobs ourselves.
Watch Stone our own tournament.
Oh my goodness.
It's not even the end of the month. All right, so Saiyan has 2 copies of Ice Barrier and an Ice Block. This is looking like a Freeze Mage to me.
It is indeed looking like, if I'm going to call it, I'm going to say it is a Freeze Mage because I'm that confident.
You just don't see 2 barriers in Burn Mage nowadays. You see Counter Spell, occasionally Spellbender.
Yeah, I think it's pretty comfortable. Although Finance Portal is going to be more the hybrid version. And I know
Barrier is just anti-aggro attack as well.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
Ballast Tome. So
he needs value.
He does. This is a match where you would think it was favoured for the Mage, but I feel that the Paladin just manages to do enough, with enough healing in there, that the Mage has to sort of try and kill it 3 or 4 times. And Mages just can't kill you 3 or 4 times anymore like they used to.
The good old days.
The good old days.
When Mages could kill you 3 or 4 times.
I can't see what's possibly wrong with that statement.
It was it's tough to not be a mage in those days, but the playing field is a little bit more leveled, and now they have primordial glyphs, so you can't feel too bad.
Oh, I don't feel bad for the mages at all. I think they just survive through everything they take.
They're still doing quite well. You know, you rotate out Ice Lance and they find a way. They're like the Phoenix rising from the ashes. Also, they have Pyros. He's literally a Phoenix.
They're more like cockroaches, I think. Nobody actually likes them and you can't get rid of them.
But they live through the apocalypse?
Yeah. They've been through several apocalypses.
So many mage players.
There's so many cockroaches.
Those poor sweet cockroaches.
They're all crying. They're
I'll never look at Fear Factor the same way, Neil.
Yeah. Every time you go on there now, you'll be mage players in people's houses. Oh my God. Anyway, back to the game in hand, I guess.
First couple of turns, just kind of going through the motions here for both guys. Frozen needs to put on pressure, and he needs to do it quickly. He is the aggressor now, because Freeze Mage just buys time, draws cards, picks up Alexstrasza, and eventually it kills you.
Yeah, so at that point, Frozen will be able to, hopefully, from his point of view, heal himself. But if he doesn't put pressure on, then the Mage is just free to do what it likes. He needs to make the Mage use some of those resources to deal with his board. And by hitting in some of this damage, he can make the Mage play a bit more inefficiently, which buys him time to get to those heals.
Yeah, Forbidden Healing and Rag Light Lord, namely, are going to be massive resources for Frozen in this matchup. If you can force out an Alexstrasza and then, you know, spend an entire turn playing Forbidden Healing, one thing that Justsaiyan may want to do is expend just enough burn, or maybe get some hits in with, you know, an Arcanologist and a Medivh's Valet to force out the heal before the Alexstrasza. If he can do that and then Alex post-heal, assuming there isn't the second form of healing for Frozen, then Justsaiyan's gonna have a great opening.
And we haven't seen a great deal of healing in Frozen's deck in the 2 games we've seen so far. I'm just waiting for him to play this Kodo, by the way. This looks like a really good play.
That's a tasty Kodo.
Oh my goodness, you eat Kodos?
For breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow.
Little milk in a bowl.
That's a lot of Kodo.
Ketchup on white bread.
I wondered what the catering was here. Now I know. Just going to see if I can offend everybody, the whole building during this cast.
Kodo sandwich.
Okay, so he does actually coin out the Tarim and decide to get a bit more aggression on the board whilst clearing up the Doomsayer. Saving the Kodo maybe for when it comes down with Doomsayer and Frost Nova later.
Yeah.
Making a lot more sense.
Tarim's just, it's more pressure right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Frozen needs.
And saying this is an important turn for him. There's not a lot of clear solutions until next turn. You don't really want to use that Blizzard, but nothing else really looks much fun.
You can go Blizzard into a Flame Strike clear.
Yeah, that gets rid of the 2 problem cards in your hand. There's kind of cluttering up your hand at the moment as well.
Still not enough to get rid of the Tarim, which is a bit of a pity.
All
right, so this way you neutralize the hits with the barrier, and then Flame Strike actually kills everything. Hopefully.
Yeah, in the ideal world where this doesn't happen.
When does this not happen? When you have
when
Spellbender
I'm playing
up.
Paladin.
Oh, okay, fair enough. When that mirror entity is a Spellbender instead, then this doesn't happen.
Spellbender is such a fun card at the moment. The second your opponents know you're playing it, it's a garbage card. But if you just catch somebody on ladder when you're playing it, it's lovely.
If they don't check for it, they just think it's Ice Block.
Yeah, especially if they've already checked for Counterspell with something else. It just goes wrong so often.
Well, Rag Light Lord already in hand for Frozen, so there's one of the big forms of healing.
Right, so now he's just going to proceed with the plan. He's managing to put some pressure on, and now the Flame Strike's kind of useless because it just deals with only half of the attack on the board.
Do you have to commit to another 2-turn clear on this with a Firelands portal on a 5/9?
Yeah, it feels that way.
Ugh.
I mean, he's on
Brutal.
21, so he's still got plenty of time.
When this cuts down more damage, you can just Firelands.
Yeah, next turn.
Next turn. Or I suppose Blizzard if you need to buy more time as well.
Does he go for eye if it's offered here?
It can be checkmate for mages.
Right. Especially when you're doing the thing you're saying where you're actually making them play Alexstrasza offensively or they can't win.
Yeah.
So they don't even get the defensive option if they get back for 1 with the eye for an eye. So in these matchups where you've got healing to back it up, I think eye for an eye becomes even more powerful personally.
Yeah, if you pop the mage's block and then they don't have, you know, armor up from Ice Barrier or an Alexstrasza to use defensively, then they essentially can't win. You can force a draw, I suppose.
Yeah, you force draws quite often. It catches casters out every time. But yeah, Frozen is going for that eye for an eye after taking a moment to think about it. And Harrison's back. He's been played in all 3 games. Getting work done. Just as a 5-4 for 5 this time around.
It's good enough. You just saw Flame Strike.
Yeah? Yeah, he's a nuisance.
And now saying once again, you can't clear everything. Blizzard can come down and stall for some more time, but you don't really have anything to back it up with.
And these are the turns where the old Freeze Mage didn't mind just using some burn to clear up the board. He's like, oh, I'll use my burn and I'll draw some more Ice Lances and stuff and I'll still have enough to win the game. And this is why Firelands Portal has been added to this deck in recent times, just to give it that little bit more board clear, as well as a little bit of board presence, which means you can sometimes clear out 2 minions for the price of 1. It's just that little bit more burn, even though it's not particularly useful. Just so you can actually kill your opponents.
Yeah.
Minions?
Yeah,
Words?
minions.
They're hard.
They are hard.
Frozen playing what feels like his 20th Spite-Ridge Steed of the match.
What in the world?
I'm sure that's his 3rd one. Just constant Spite-Ridge Steeds.
All the paladins are blending together at this point, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. So much Steed. With good reason. It's one of the best cards, not only from Journey to Un'Goro, but in the paladin class and maybe even in the game.
So Frozen now has that triple threat. He's going to try and force the Alex out. Basically for that extra... First of all, Saiyan's got to kill him twice, and one of those involves Alex. Secondly, he's going to need a defensive heal to play around Eye for an Eye. And thirdly, how is he just going to get around this Ragnaros when it comes out?
How is he even just going to clear this board? I did see a line for him last turn. Instead of Firelands, you could have Blizzard and then pinged the Harrison and then go for Firelands and an additional ping on turn 9. But then that leaves the Hydrologist still up. So in no way did Saiyan have possibility to clear this board at any point in this game, even with Flame Strike, Blizzard, Doomsayer.
Right.
Everything under the sun that Mage has in its arsenal has still not been good enough.
This shows how crazy good Spite Steed is when Mages can't deal with it.
Now, the Silverhand Recruit is damaged for Frozen, and the only method of healing he has other than the True Silver is the Rag Light Lord. So could Justsaiyan go for an offensive Alexstrasza, hoping that the Rag Light Lord misses, and hoping that he can burn then?
Well, like ping the 2/6 as well.
Too much to hope?
The trouble is his hand isn't even full of damage anymore.
No, he doesn't have Fireball,
He just has one Fireball and one Portal. That adds up to 11 in terms of mana cost.
But you're not gonna beat the resources from Frozen. Yes, he's got some useless stuff. Double Consecration, Equality, Pyro isn't going to be handy right now at all, but all he really needs is the minions on board plus Light Lord, and it's almost enough.
Yeah, trying to think of any other lines that involve Acolyte of Pain, so Saiyan may be able to draw into that double Fireball plus 3 damage.
Yeah, maybe. We saw one Frostbolt earlier on from Saiyan. So one Frostbolt, one Fireball left in deck.
And 2 Valets?
Yes.
So he's got the 3-drop covered, or the 3 damage covered, but he's got to find that Fireball. And again, Frozen just piling on this pressure. Double Consecration if needed later as well. We'll obviously be keen to proc at 1 because of that Eye for an Eye, which can be played around by being pinged. Glyph for Saiyan, is there anything he can find here that will save him? Maybe he does that with the intention to Blizzard if it's bad?
Yeah, potentially. Frost Nova would be really good. You could Alex and Frost Nova at the same time because of the discount from the Glyph.
Yeah, that works out nicely. And yeah, he's going to go for this. He's going to go for the card where you do get a creative Acolyte, which is going to draw you some cards, and try and set up that first attempt with Alexstrasza, saving the Glyph as long as possible to see if he picks up Frostbolt or the Fireball, so he knows he's looking for the other one if he picks those up.
Thing is, Frozen will have the guaranteed heal to face with Rag Light Lord if he equalities his minions and then plays Rag Light Lord. Because it puts them all down at 1 health, so they're not technically damaged. So the only target then for Rag Light Lord is the face.
Just pointing out this Tarim that Frozen played on turn 6 to deal with the Doomsayer has paid off, because now this Kodo, all these turns later that could have dealt with that Doomsayer, that I was cleverly advocating, it's dealt with the Acolyte of Pain and given Saiyan at 0 cards. So all that patience from Frozen is paying off there.
Well, you're never killing this board, as Saiyan.
Are you freezing it all day?
There's the 1 mana Frost Nova.
Because he's not killing it all day.
Lol. All right, so you go for the 1 mana Frost Nova. You can Frost Nova this turn, 3 mana. Then Alexstrasza and Frost Nova for 1 mana.
Yep, and that's exactly what he was for.
And then you still kind of need 2 more turns.
And you need him not to have Rag Light Lord. Although you have damaged some minions now, which is good. Yeah, maybe he's got an outside squeak. You don't want to play that.
No, well, if Equality Light Lord comes down, then Arcane Explosion kills off the 1 health minions, but Frozen goes back up to 23.
Yeah, you can just Equality to take the damage off your minions at any point, is what Cora's pointing out there.
This is the push. This is all that Saiyan has. And Frozen wisely, leaving the board at 6 minions, knowing that at any point he may have to play Raglight Lord.
Yeah, we need to highlight that Justsaiyan did pick up that valet there, so he is only a fireball short of killing next turn. Frozen can go to 17 by going face with his True Silver that he's been saving.
Yeah, so Frozen can... Do you need to play Raglight Lord?
No, I think you can wait one more turn. I think you can go face with the True Silver to go up to 17. And you can maybe even a quality consecration that does the dual thing of killing your opponent's Alexstrasza and putting all the minions with no damage on them.
If you were to equality Light Lord this turn, Arcane Explosion wipes your board. Alex can hit face for 8, which puts you right back at 15. And then if Saiyan picks up the fireball off the top, there you go.
Yeah, he's going with a quality Light Lord though.
If Frozen hits to Saiyan, oh, we forgot about Mirror Entity.
Imagine that in Potion of Polymorph.
Oh my goodness. That would have been good too, but
yeah.
Arcane Explosion wipes the board. There's no taunts on Death Rattle.
Saiyan's gonna find a way here.
So Frozen goes back up to 17. Saiyan knocks him back down to 9. Fireball Medivh's Valet's 9. That's it.
There you go. And that's the power of Medivh the Guardian.
Entity. I kept thinking it was an ice barrier for whatever reason,
yeah,
but
same.
no, that was the entity off of the Kabbalist Tome, off of the first Primordial Glyph. Justsaiyan just manages to squeak out a win there.
That was insane. Okay, I think we both thought for some reason it was a barrier because he'd been there for ages and he hadn't attacked for like 20 turns.
I guess that Frozen just hadn't actually played a minion for
so
long time.
Yeah. All right, so Frozen now has to queue up his own mage or the shaman. Did we see an Eater here? I think we saw an Eater in the opening mulligan from Saiyan. Let's go with yes.
Sure.
It's more exciting if we go with yes.
It is more exciting if you go with yes. It's more exciting if there's Eater of Secrets. I don't know. Do you, in your experience, do most Freeze mages run Eater of Secrets?
It's very much a personal choice. I think I would say that you've got to expect it, although at Valencia, most people didn't play it.
Okay.
But on ladder, you've got to expect it. And I think in most tournaments, we've seen a lot of Eaters around.
I would expect it more from Burn Mage builds than from the more Freeze Mage-esque styles, I suppose. But it does seem like Frozen queued up his mage, so we are gonna have a Freeze Mage mirror, Lorinda. Are you a Freeze Mage fan?
I like watching people play Freeze Mage, but playing it myself can get a little bit messy at times.
Then we are gonna have fun, because I am very much the same.
Okay, let's see if we can get through this one. There is the Eater, though, from Saiyan, so he has the advantage straight away, because it becomes a big battle of ice blocks and who can proc blocks, and if you don't need to do that, you're in a great spot. Although sometimes manipulating it so that your Eater comes down while you have actually some way of killing them on the board is not as easy as it might seem. So here the early exchanges looking at the hands. Frozen has no card draw apart from that Acolyte. He's going to have to look after that really well. Saiyan, however, has his Arcane Intellect. And he's not scared to get the Valet down here because there's not many times you can get in there before the ice barrier comes down. Let's get that down there. Let's try and get some chip damage in.
There's not a lot of it available for these mage decks. They're not running Mana Worm, but Medivh's Valet and Arcanologist can do a surprising amount of damage. Any little bit helps.
Arcanologist is so powerful. Just the way, obviously, it thins your deck by just one card, but it does just so many other things at the same time. That little bit of chip damage you're talking about.
And it is necessary to compare it to Mad Scientist because they had similar effects. But Arcanologist, if you have Ice Block in hand already, you can still pull an additional Ice Block out of your deck. Whereas Mad Scientist, if you had Ice Block in play, would not pull the Ice Block out to play it again. It's not possible to have two in play at the same time. So in some ways, Arcanologist is even stronger than Mad Scientist, and that's insane.
It's crazy. You just do not associate that. But you're right, it's a 2-3, not a 2-2 as well. So it's actually much more likely to get the chip damage through, especially in the modern game where there's a lot of 2-attack minions. And yeah, Saiyan here just making nice early stuff happen. Frozen just has nothing to do of any use right now.
right away.
Saiyan in a good early spot here. The presence of Medivh means he's probably not playing Antonidas. That's just like a straight swap, I believe, most of the time.
Well, if Frozen doesn't have any weapon removal in his deck, then Medivh could be quite key. And we see that Saiyan also has the Eater of Secrets, so it does look like he's at a distinct advantage after having gotten in the 6 points of chip damage. He has the ability to destroy secrets and build up a large board state in the late game.
He's also got his card draw if he needs it. He hasn't even needed to play the intellect yet. He's just been messing around with his chip damage early on. Meanwhile, Frozen is just sat there with some stuff he wants to win the game with in 10 turns time, an Acolyte of Pain that's not challenging the board, and some removal spells he doesn't want to use on minions.
And Medivh's also really nice because it turns spells like Flame Strike and Blizzard, which you aren't going to get much use out of in this matchup, into minions that are useful.
Yeah, it gives you an alternate route to pressuring your opponent. Not necessarily a win condition, but just enough to suck those resources out. And in a balanced 50-50 matchup, those resources are key. And again, here we're seeing this Violence Portal. That's just another card that might not be in Frozen's deck, but it's just a little bit extra for Saiyan.
That's a fantastic pull as well. There's some really bad 5-drops that you can get off of Firelands Portal. Bomb Squad, Starving Buzzard, Doppelgangster. Stranglethorn Tiger that's a great drop.
It's just another 5 face damage, almost guaranteed.
It's a Fireball. It's a 7 mana, deal 5 damage.
And again,
potentially deal repetitive 5 damage.
Yeah, Frozen's been chipped down to 19, bit by bit. And yeah, feels the need to freeze this board into Flame Strike just to get rid of the delayed fireball.
And like you were pointing out, it's not possible for the Freeze Mage to deal 20-something points of damage in a single turn anymore. But Justsaiyan almost doesn't need to. He's just throwing burn at face continuously every single turn.
Yeah, I'm interested there. The fireball, the Flame Strike was almost telegraphed there last turn by Frozen's Blizzard. And Saiyan just said, you know what, I'm going to roll higher than 4 health. I'm just going to stick this Firelands in your face and get a 5-6. And so now Frozen's got to mess around with Frost Novas to slow it all down. And he's going to do that quite successfully because he has another one coming up. Saiyan's just going to continue. Well, we'll get a Medivh in play now, I should imagine, before he continues the throwing stuff at your face plan.
Because you'd like to play the Eater of Secrets the turn that you are dealing the final blow.
Do it with your weapon.
Ha ha ha. Well, can Saiyan set up a lethal with a Fireball this turn? And go for Eater of Secrets. And if you Fireball Valet this turn, then you can go for Eater of Secrets Fireball for lethal on the next turn, maybe. But you are going into turn 9, so you do risk defensive Alexstrasza from Frozen. So maybe you're not too keen on expending all those resources quite yet.
Yeah, using the double fireball with the Atiesh equipped. Notice he puts the one into face there to set up that double fireball, hit you in the face. Lethal also getting your opponent down to 1, obviously. So good with the Eater in hand.
And you know that Frozen has the second block in hand, so you can proc the first one, let him play the second one, and then just, like Eater of Secrets ping for lethal.
I mean, at the moment, it's just over with what's on board, unless Frozen does something about it. There's 17 on board that we're not even talking about, because we're assuming that Frozen will just deal with it over and over again, but it's a legit way of just winning the game as well.
I mean, this is the last way of stalling the board state that he has in hand right now. Flame Strike can come out and deal with it a little bit with the addition of the minions on board, and Primordial Glyph, of course, can net any number of cards that can stave off the board as well.
Plenty of damage here. It's just about how Saiyan wants to set it up. He's got the 15 traditional damage just from 6, 6, and 3 next turn. He's got another Fireball now. A nice 2-casting cast 6 damage spell. It's always fun, depending which side you're sat. I go back to the cockroaches I mentioned earlier.
It does change things very significantly. Which side of the game are you sitting on?
And now he's got 9 damage in hand plus Eater of Secrets, adds up to 10 mana next turn. So he's threatening unstoppable lethal, I think.
Yep, Eater of Secrets, double Fireball for 10 mana, 12 damage, and destroy the ice block. That is going to be Saiyan tying up this series 2-2.
Wow, it looked like he was down and out at 3-0. Frozen played into the mirror entity in game 3, and now he's got to find a way to win with his own Shaman against Freeze Mage, and that is not a good matchup at all.
Oh, it's awful, especially since we saw Volcanic Potion in Saiyan's opening mulligan.
Yeah.
That's going to be fantastic at dealing with the small minions from the Shaman and Blizzard and Frost Nova Doomsayer. The Shaman doesn't have heal. Actually, I take it back. Frozen's playing N'Zoth Shaman.
Oh.
I lied. I lied about everything.
Just lying your way.
I know. What can I say? I'm a horrible person. But this is not the traditional token Bloodlust Shaman that we're used to seeing. This isn't the Shaman that Saiyan had played earlier in the match. This is a N'Zoth control Shaman build with Jades. We did see Jinyu Water Speaker earlier on from Frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is some life gain.
Maybe.
We didn't see too much of the deck. He got aggro down pretty quickly.
So there's the Water Speaker. He may have ways to make more Water Speakers. He may have Stonehill Defenders. He may have Hot Spring Guardians. There's a lot of healing potentially in this deck.
He went with a full keep on this hand.
Just evolve your Doomsayer.
Yeah.
Keep my Jinyu and heal on turn 12.
Devolve Acolyte. I guess he would rather have this than draw into like Lightning Storm, Maelstrom Portal.
Sure.
A lot of useless tech cards.
It is an interesting choice, though. So
Jade Claws clean up the early Arcanologist and Medivh's Valet, potentially.
that is so much work, that last game, the Arcanologist early. They just did so much stuff.
I mean, that 6 damage, that's pretty significant. Plus it forced Frozen to remove board over the first several turns. Yeah, which meant he was naturally behind in the race.
Okay, well, picking up the Jade Lightning will enable him to buff his Jade slowly but surely. Obviously, Thing from below means he should be able to get some sort of attack going soon. But he's going to need to, because again, Saiyan's just going to chip away with the Arcanologist. I guess that's what Arcanologists do, right? They just chip away at stuff.
And eventually they unearth victory.
Nice, they do. 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Very well, maybe 3 times in a row for Saiyan. This would be one of only a few comebacks there actually have been. Reverse sweeps on the Smash GG website. You can see there's some beautiful stats, Lorinda, which I know you're going to be happy about.
Oh, lovely.
And there was, before this round started, only 11 reverse sweeps in the tournament.
In the whole tournament, which is incredible.
In the whole tournament through the first 4 rounds, yeah, 11. Down 0-2s and then ended up being 3-2s.
And there's like 166 players actually ended up playing, so that's 83 games per round.
If Saiyan wins this game, he's only going to be one of, maybe 15 people now that have managed to bring back from an 0-2 deficit.
I'm sure he'll be very proud. In fairness, he has kept his cool throughout. This is like one of his trademarks. He does stay cool until the end. He'll have a bit of a moan if he loses, like anybody, but he doesn't even, he even moans in a fairly reserved fashion.
He never looks too phased.
No.
And Frozen went ahead and played the Devolve on the Acolyte of Pain, denying draw. Freeze Mage at its core is a combo deck, even though it's much less like that now.
Right.
But you still require significant card draw to pick up the pieces that you need to actually end the game.
And we can see this. I mean, there's a lot of dead stuff happening for Saiyan in this game because he hasn't picked up much of that card draw. So he's just fiddling around, waiting to draw into the stuff that he needs. Luckily for him, Frozen's just fiddling around with mediocre mid-range minions because that's what Shaman kind of does. Relies on grinding out the control decks using its hero power to a large extent. And Mage just doesn't care about that sort of stuff.
I'm curious if Frozen is playing Spirit Echo. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Yeah, if he is, then it will help him a lot if he draws into Jade Spirit and manages to get it down, or even a Jade Chieftain. Whatever happened to that card? Remember him?
I do. He's a little bit slow. Not actually intelligence-wise, but like mana cost-wise, he's a little bit slow.
We just talk about it when he's around.
He's very smart.
We wait till he's out of the room.
But poor guy. But now that Jade Spirit's an elemental, if you choose, you can play Jade Spirit, Servant of Kalamos, and you just build Jades that way. It's not necessary to play a 7-mana 5/5. We have 0 mana 5/5s in Shaman with Taunt.
Yeah? Who needs 4 mana 7/7s?
Scrubs.
Scrubs. There you go. You're all scrubs. I'm just going to make no friends at all.
I'll be your friend, Neil.
Oh,
to an extent.
God. To an extent.
You go home to Europe after this and Twitter friends.
I'm British. Go home to Britain. Anyway, less of that. Europe stuff. Harrison's just going to come to play again. Frozen just harassing his way through the tournament.
I mean, it's working for him. I certainly can't blame him.
We've seen a lot of Galactic crawlers, right, as well in this tournament, so people really picking on pirates. I know this is a bit slow to pick on pirates, but it still eats Arcanite Reapers.
Yeah, I mean, between Gluttonous Ooze and Harrison are going to be your two weapon removal choices. Gluttonous Ooze is fantastic if you're looking to sustain against aggro, and Harrison is just phenomenal for control decks.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Frozen's doing. He's playing, like you said, just a whole bunch of control decks. And I was thinking he was doing really well here on the Mind Games with the Rogue being banned out, but I mean, he's looking good now, but we just know that it's called Freeze Mage for a reason. This attack is just going to come to a grinding halt shortly. It's the healing that Saiyan's got to play around, though. He's not too scared of this intimidating-looking board, but actually this will fold up eventually. The bigger problem is what to do in terms of forcing Frozen to use these Jinyus that have just sat there, one of them even since the Mulligan. That's how highly he rated it.
Well, he knew that he would have to find them. And, you know, if they were in the last 5 cards of his deck, for instance, there was probably just no way he was going to win the game.
Yeah.
So I like him keeping it. It's a little bit greedy, but it does look like it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I think the one thing that people don't do enough, especially when I flick through stats on stat sites to do with mulligans, is people just tend to keep their curve draws no matter what, rather than think about the exact matchup. And sometimes you see these ones that stand out a mile, and I imagine that Jinyu in this matchup is actually a card that is completely and utterly fine to keep in your mulligan. But I bet that most people wouldn't keep it in their mulligan. They're like, oh, I'll draw into it later when I've been Alex and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But
you never can count on it.
You're not winning with Blood Mage into Stonehill into Jade Spirit anyway. That's not a winning curve. So you might as well just keep the good cards.
It's different win conditions against different decks.
Sure is.
Played this incredibly well. But Saiyan could take the 3rd Frost Nova if he wants it, or he can just continue to burn down Frozen's face.
Frozen's face. I'm just wondering if there's a prospect that he's going to have to Volcano his own board at some point.
If he wants to play the 2nd Jinyu, he'll have to.
Yeah.
There's no way for Saiyan to kill Frozen next turn.
Yeah.
But he can set up for the 2-turn lethal. And he can do it without killing anything on Frozen's board. So yeah, this kind of needs to be done just to make some room.
To safety. Frozen just scoring in the wrong end zone here.
It's a huge bummer, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. And now he pauses to think. I've blown up my board. Should I have done this? I think you made the play when you actually just played the Volcano.
The board wasn't going to win Frozen the game.
It really was not. And this board is fine, right? The board that is still remaining, if it happens to ever get an attack in, it's still fine. It's still plenty.
Another Firelands Portal.
Yeah.
So Firelands Frost Nova take 2.
Yep, looks like it.
You can't hide from me.
And Saiyan's just going to keep freezing this board.
So Frozen can heal up to 17. And Saiyan has 17 over 2 turns. Frostbolt, Medivh's Valet, Ping, and then Pyro.
Spirit Echo, though. And Saiyan is nearly out of freezers. If you don't count Frostbolt, he is out of freezers. So the Spirit Echo might gain yet another 6.
Saiyan needs to not have that Streetwise Investigator on the board right now.
Streetwise Investigator.
Streetwise Investigator.
What's it do?
5 mana, 4/6.
Do you know?
When you play it, all of your opponent's stealth minions become unstealthed. It's sort of like the Flare effect.
All right.
Arena.
Right.
It's not a bad card.
Yeah, there's plenty of cards out there that don't seem to do much.
It's like the 5 mana, 4/6 when it's Enrage, give your weapon +2 attack. I forget his name. You play the 2 of them a lot. Just because the stat lines aren't horrible.
Do I?
Okay.
Do I really, Cora?
The Royal U.
The royal
I
you.
play the two of them a lot because they're not awful.
Yeah, and this Spirit Echo is just not going to make much of a difference going down that route, by the way. And Frozen no longer has a way to kill his own minions, apart from by trading them in. I guess he does.
You can Spirit Echo, run in the 3/4 Jinyu into the Streetwise Investigator.
Yeah.
3/1 can even just finish it off at that point. And then you can only play 1 this turn, but you can still heal up to 13, which puts you out of Pyro range.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually fine.
And then you'll have the additional 6 healing from the second Jinyu.
And Saiyan's going to have to intellect, which he's been trying not to do. He's been trying to get as much curve in as possible with these burn spells. And he must have used most of them. The intellect may not have much to find. It might find a whole bunch of garbage.
Yeah. We've seen 2 Firelands. We've seen Frostbolt Medivh's Valet.
And Frozen still has plenty of gas if he can start attacking. If Saiyan has run out of these freezers.
Okay, Ice Block will buy Saiyan an additional turn.
Okay, he's just gonna, if he plays intellect and whiffs, then he just can't do anything. But he's gonna wait till 1 more turn. So playing the Pyro now is just putting his faith in his deck that he will get into the right stuff next turn.
And he knows that Frozen is going up to 9, but this is the extent of the healing. Frozen is at 9. Saiyan just needs to deal 9 more damage to be able to complete the reverse sweep.
And that would be insane. Like you say, there's been hardly any reverse sweeps at all in this tournament. There's a Frostbolt. What can he get with the intellect?
Can he find a Fireball? He does it. And that is gonna be the reverse sweep for the only Tempo Storm player representing at DreamHack Atlanta. Wow.
That's absolutely nuts. And yeah, he just looks like another day at the office. Why not? Another day at the office, just completely
Job's
crazy
done.
victory. Looked like he had lost at least once in there, and that one was starting to go against him as well. He was just starting to turn the corner. He'd run out of freezers.
He still had the 1 Ice Block in hand to be able to stretch out for just a little bit longer, but the Frostbolt on the draw and the Fireball off of the Arcane Intellect, Saiyan played that one perfectly. That was an awesome series.
You know, I'll be honest with you guys. I came over at the end at what was looking like the end of game number 3. You two will have seen me.
Yeah, I thought you were lost.
I put the headset on. I'm like, because where I was over there, it looked like it was just going to be a 3-0. And then I get here and I watch and just say, oh, wait, just saying.
Mirror Entity up the entire
I'm off again
time.
then. But what a fantastic series. It looked like the N'Zoth Paladin was going to take it all the way. But just saying, claws on in that game. And by the skin of his teeth gets through, takes the entire series. What a great one.
So he moves on to 4-1, and like I keep saying, he has been to the previous 2 US DreamHack top 16s. 4-1, he's on his way to another one.
Yeah, he very well could be, actually. 4-1's a fantastic record going into day 2.
Yeah. So if he gets to 3 in a row, that would be pretty silly, like matching the sort of things that Orange has been doing and Hoy been doing over in Europe. He'll be the American equivalent of that, and Terrence is the only other guy who can really match those feats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm lost for words at this point. We've had some great series, we've had some fast series, but these series that do go 3-2, I have to admit, they're some of my favorites. And the ones that turn out to be a huge surprise like that, I think this is the first reverse sweep we've had today, like the first full-on proper reverse sweep. And oh my goodness, it was a good one. Which was your favorite game in that series, Cora?
I think it actually was the Frozen on Paladin, Saiyan on Mage.
Right.
Where it looked like Frozen had it wrapped up. I goofed and completely forgot there was a mirror entity that Saiyan
Yeah, it was
played.
all Cora.
It was all me.
Right. You never make mistakes, Lorinda. But which was your favorite game in this series?
It has to be exactly the same. I mean, when you start off the reverse sweep in Last Hero Standing, you're automatically playing a deck that is a long way behind because you chose not to play it second. And so if you win that game, that's why there's so few reverse sweeps, because your third one is usually your garbage one to even start off with. Win that game, you can see from that point on, the second that Frozen had to cue the mirror against Eater of Secrets, that he's maybe in a bit of trouble, and that was just great to see come back.
I think also I really liked it because the Mirror Entity and the Arcane Explosion came off of the Kabbalist Tome, which Saiyan took off the Primordial Glyph very early, knowing that he needed extra resources, and it just paid off in spades.
I mean, I'm completely with both of you in terms of what my favorite game was. I like to try and watch all of it while I'm away in between. And I actually missed the vital moment at the end because honestly, we were looking, I was talking to the production guys and we're looking like, yep, game's about to end. All right, I'll go enjoy and then put the headset on. Huh? So definitely one I'm going to want to watch back and see exactly how that happened. But that does wrap up today, the first day of DreamHack Atlanta 2017. We've had five rounds of Swiss. Yeah. 5 rounds of Swiss. All right, 5 rounds of Swiss. We've got 4 more rounds of Swiss coming up tomorrow before we begin top 16. What's been the highlight of your day so far, Cora?
Oh man, it's been a great day all around. I love seeing new faces, seeing my friends succeed, and I don't know, it's just almost too much to count. The atmosphere is always my favorite part, right? It's hundreds of thousands of, okay, maybe not hundreds of thousands, thousands of people all in the same place who all are just passionate about esports and gaming, and it's a great atmosphere.
Lorinda?
I mean, I usually highlight atmosphere. It just turns out that every DreamHack I go to seems to be better than one before. So let's not go that route. Let's go with the fact that Priest is making a comeback.
Yeah.
Plenty of Priest today. For those people who moaned that it's been out of the meta for 5 years, however long Hearthstone's been out. They're getting plenty of Priest today. If you want to see some Priest, you've got hours of it on the streams today, especially that Priest mirror where all hell broke loose and there were like 7 packs opened and 9 Draconic Operatives played. That game was insane. And it swung as well. It looked like it was going to be a foregone conclusion. And 25 turns later was anything but.
Definitely one to look back on. But we are just about ready to wrap up here, guys. Everyone back home, thank you so much for watching. From Lorinda, from Cora, from Lothar, from production, and from me, we hope you've had a wonderful day, and we cannot wait to be back tomorrow with much more Hearthstone action. We'll see you then.